Hey y'all, it's Natalie for A Cherry on Top, and today it's Technique Tuesday, and this month we've been focusing on traveler's notebooks. So I have this really cool craft traveler's notebook. It's by Graphic 45. I had the packaging out there so you could see. And it has the bands inside of an album cover, and then it comes with 3 books. And so I am working in one. I'm not sure if we took a long weekend trip up to the mountains in East Tennessee. So I'm not sure if I will need all 3 books for the whole trip or if I will just do 1 book and have the other 2 books be other quick weekend trips that we take. But either way, I'm going to show you my process for kind of getting these vacation albums done quickly. I have a tendency to take some of my best photos on vacation. So I love to blow them up really big. So I like the idea of doing a full page photo when I am doing a traveler's notebook. And then the opposite page can contain another photo. It can contain smaller photos. It can contain journaling, what have you, whatever it needs to embellish the large photo. But this is going to be my cover sheet. And it is one of the main roller coasters at Dollywood. But I don't know if this is just me, but I print at home. That's how I am able to get so many large photos. But when I print at home on my larger paper, it tends to fade. Not fade, I guess is the right word, but the color from the photo tends to rub off. And so that's why I'm working on a piece of copy paper, and I've decided to wrap my photo in some vellum so that it doesn't rub off on the other side of the cover, as well as whatever I decide to put in that pocket, which will probably be a park map from our trip to Dollywood. I like the vellum. It does add a lot of interest to my title page, but it also serves a purpose to keep the photo ink from rubbing off. And if you guys have any tips for me to keep that from happening, I don't know if I just have junky paper or if this is a thing that happens to other people a lot, but that's why I'm using that copy paper to kind of turn the photo paper onto so it doesn't rub off onto my glass mat and get onto other things. I'm using a little wipe to wipe my fingers off. I'm not sure about that, but I go ahead and put all of the embellishments onto the page before I stick it down. So like the little tab that I like to use so you don't get fingerprints or ink on your fingers when you're turning the page. I like to adhere that with my Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher. So I don't want those staples to show through the other side. I attach them to the photo before I adhere the photo down to the paper. So now I am cutting apart the smaller photos that I've cut or that I've printed out to accompany my large photo. So there's a group photo of us in front of that same eagle, and then I have 3 smaller photos. Some nice lady offered to take our photo while we were there, and I'm never going to say no to that. I have this paper by Heidi Swapp, Set Sail. And so I did learn something here for working in this type of traveler's notebook. I usually work in a page protector type traveler's notebook. So for this one, my tip would be don't work all the way to the inside edge. So basically, I should have cut my paper a little bit smaller because it starts crumpling up there in the middle. But I tend to go for a distressed look, and that helps with the ink rubbing off from this photo onto the opposite page. But so I don't really mind the distressed nature of the inside portion of that paper kind of getting folded up a little bit. But next time I will cut it a little smaller, and you'll actually see me do that in here in a minute. But you see me using a lot of adhesive as well because these are all outside the page protector. So I want to make sure that they're nice and stuck down and not going to fall apart. You don't want your book to fall apart, right? So I put a label in the same place as the first photo so that they would match up, the labels back to back. And again, it's a place for the reader to turn the page. And I'm going to back all of those little photos in some white cardstock. Oh, first I'm going to add a little bit of splatter. So I chose a pink color and I wet it. And now I'm just going to add some splatter to this paper, mostly because I kind of made a little mistake. I got some of the ink that was coming off of that large photo on my fingers, and then I touched the paper. So it made some smudges. So I wiped them off, and then it was just smudgy. And so I just was like, you know what? We're going to embrace it, and we're going to add additional splatter. There, boom, intentional. So there I've added the white cardstock to my photos to give just a little bit of like unison to it. And I'm going to use these 49th and Market Vintage Artistry Everywhere rub-ons to, again, add interest to this little background piece of paper. I'm really loving the way it looks, and it looks good with all of the distressing that is going on, be it intentional or not. And these are like a little compass, but it just worked really well with the colors of this Heidi Swapp paper. And I'm keeping it pretty simple on this traveler's notebook because I want to get it done. So that's a tip I have. If you're like me, like a lot of times on a vacation or a trip, I don't really have a ton of journaling, right? And I'm doing these smaller albums, and we travel a lot. It's what we love to do. And so I want to get some of these albums just completed, right? So batch print, do a lot of big photos or whatever your type of photos you're doing, do a lot at once, and you can throw them in pretty easily. Kind of if you go also by the same design pretty much throughout the book. So I'm going to have a large photo on maybe every opening or every other opening. So that helps me limit my design choices, so I don't have to do as many. So this is the last page I'm going to do for you in this notebook today. I am doing these smaller photos of my son, and he chose his souvenir at Dollywood. So I did cut this piece of paper, this full-size piece of paper, smaller width-wise, so that you can see it leaves a little bit of a gap between the galley, I want to say is the inside, the inside binding of the traveler's notebook. And then I backed the photos, and I did cut them down a little bit as well to fit nicely on the page, so you could still see the background paper really well. I have that puffy sticker, which is from Simple Stories, and then I grabbed that little label, which is from 49th and Market, the vintage artistry everywhere. And I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling. Like I don't add a lot, like I said, to my vacations, but albums, but I am going to do a little bit there just to say about what Heath chose as his souvenir that day. And it will nestle nicely with that little title, and we'll see what becomes of the other page. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. We're almost done, so I am going to throw some still shots up at the end of this video, but you can also check out the blog today if you want to see all of the details. Let me know down below if you have any questions, and stay tuned, keep watching, because I will work my way through this album. And I wanted to add a geotag, a little something else to that first title page. And I will also embellish the album cover and everything, like maybe once I'm done, so I know if I have 1 volume or 2 volumes of this traveler's notebook. So I hope you guys are inspired to document maybe a quick trip or a long weekend or something in a traveler's notebook. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, y'all.